Welcome, legendary family. I am legendary himself, the humble African. Today, on this episode, we are looking at pandemics over the years in the history of mankind and the history of the world population. One of the destructive, devastating pandemics in Europe, in Asia, Africa, the whole world have suffered in the hands of these destructive weapons. There is a first pandemic, the first plague pandemic. There is the second plague pandemic and the third plague pandemic. There is other pandemics that before the common era and in common era as well that happened. First plague pandemic, that usually referred to us as the Justinian era, on the Constantinople, today Istanbul, and then also the Byzantine Empire. That in that era, the Justinian emperor wanted to unite Rome once again, the Roman Empire. When, the Roman Empire was divided and, this emperor wanted to bring it together. It was that period that this pandemic became one of the deadliest weapons in the destruction of this Roman Empire. Only Constantinople suffered millions of cases. In Constantinople alone, a day there is a record of 10,000 cases in Constantinople alone. The first plague pandemic, called the Justinian pandemic, killed a whole lot of people in that era. People look at pandemic, especially we that experience the COVID-19, looking at how COVID-19 did the world dirty, took out almost 75 million death records on COVID-19 alone, and over 1 billion or close to 1 billion population who were affected by this COVID-19. The Human Health Organization confirmed how this COVID-19 was a very highly destructive weapon. People may look at how this pandemics, comparing to the world mass weapon destruction, has caused also over the years. You look at the Chernobyl, Ukraine and Russia at that time, the Soviet Union, the Chernobyl disaster, people, artifact, weapons being exploded, and the radiation, over the years those areas suffered a whole lot of losses. People may look at how these things can be very deadly, but most of the time we haven't really paid attention to how pandemic has even more destructive by more than weapons. We heard about Hiroshima, we heard about Nagasaki, but one of the deadliest weapons is the plague pandemics era. So people were wondering, figuring out how this pandemic is destroying people, and that time people were fatalistic people. People were more religious based solution than being realistic of scientific proof and scientific solution. At that time, here comes a scientific scholar called Alexander Yashin. Now, when this trade among nations that brought about these pestis infections, and the bacterium was spreading widely, killing a lot of people, the world was much concerned about it, not knowing what to do. They need to take immediate action. It's when Alexander Yoshin has to go that time in Hong Kong to go and do a research and find out how this, infection was spreading vast. Now, a little bit history about Yoshin, how Yoshinian pestis and bacterium, it was named by this scientist, the second plague pandemic, which almost 50 million to 80 million population Europe alone suffer over 50 million cases death recorded, and the whole world as a whole was over 200 million when the diseases spread widely. Over 400 years this thing did not have solution, but there comes Alexander Yoshin, who brought about a solution, a scientific proof that shows that this bacterium was from a rodent, a rat, that carried this bacteria and then spread by flies, one of the major causes. And then also when respiratory syndrome by the disease, most of the dead symptoms can also spread, how it has been taken care of, the disposal of the bodies. That time there wasn't a lot of scientific solutions and technology. That time they have a problem, they consult God. And there is a little bit revelation here how this pandemic shaped religion that time. A lot of believers became thinking people. Religions were shaped. A lot of people questioned religion because at that time the church was mostly the mediator. When somebody is having a problem, sickness, any type of worry of mankind, it is the church that is the sort of solution to it. Now the pandemic was sweeping a lot of people, that people were asking questions, people were questioning how, what is this thing, why this thing is taking out our people like this. Has God ever forgotten us? And people were asking questions that did not have any answers. That came about how religion and most of the people started rethinking. At that era was the beginning of a lot of scientific centers and a lot of scientific solutions today. It brought about a whole lot of centers opened, hospitals, clinic. A lot of people pay more attention and put more effort and put more equipment around. People saw that after the Alexander Yoshin experiment and his proof shows that this thing is not any divine something or any universal sickness or something of the sort. They realized that this thing is an infection that is a scientific proving that all these animals were carrying out and people were getting infected and spread over the years. Coming on your way next time on Legendary Media. It's your boy, the Humble African. Peace out.